Do you also hate it to rely on sleep or para procs to finally be able to defeat your desired enemy? We'll fight the level 100 NPC and Berecain, and we're using some very interesting mechanic today. This moment where she uses her toxic stave, she targets only the units which are poisoned. But if you have an ally which poisons you apart from her toxic stave, she thinks, oh well, then I go for that unit. You can use that to your advantage for 2 turns, and these have to be the turns you need to break at least 23 shields in total. And the turn afterwards, just use your Molu and prio attack. Well, for those who have no Molu and you didn't get her in the first draw of a Scholar banner like me, we have to rely on a different strategy. I'll explain it to you step by step, but there is a hook at the end, so just hear me out before you adapt to this plan until I say so. At first we need a unit which hits light or tome, which has a speed of around 554, because after BC is doing the speed staff and the swift staff, her speed gets that high. Because Hasumi is in the front all the time, she needs to have the SP saver on her celestial song and wear a dragon scarf to not run out of SP, so extra damage is not possible on her. Having Odette with her passive and Varkin's Tactician's Clock is a plus, because you have the possibilities to spare on allies, this way breaking the shields, and use others to help you get more damage afterwards. Well, that is what I thought. So as soon as you set up every elemental defense down, light resistance down, and buffed so much of your units as possible, I got into the first break, and right after it I used the ally from hell you can find here right at the beginning. I ran tests with it and found out that it's not a percentual thing which unit he lends his SP, it's only the pure value. So having less SP in the whole team is guaranteed to get the allies buff. But if you earn 125 SP, you have to clearly plan this out with the SP of everyone else if you want to repeat that a second time. And man, that was a hard one. But it worked out, and the damage I did was also very good, and the guarantee of this unit is very much higher than hitting sleep or para on that NPC, so I was good and went for the second poison. It worked, and BC was even in the red zone. I even used Tressa's ultimate, which had a light attack in it, to have one more shield break. 13 shields left and one more turn to beat her without sleep, but what's that? Prepare for execution? Normally she uses this after 5 successive turns, but she did not do it, so I was thinking she'd skip it. Nope. If this method is used, she still uses it at the end of turn 11 and gets the steadfast defense, Gertrude's passive. And I can't break 13 shields in a few turns with only 3 attacking units, so that was the end of my Poison Strat. That's why I had to compress my plan a bit, so using all ultimate buffs faster to do more damage and hope for skill chains of Varkin and Odette to do more damage until the second break is over, and use turn 11 and 12 to do the last damage if there is something missing, even if it implies using sleep anyway, just in case. So now you can follow up and use that strategy to finally beat her. And in case you've got Adelle, you can also use her instead of Tressa, because she can evade too, and has a 2-hit light or 3 shield breaker attack, so you don't need to use much shield breaking allies and can use them for buffing and debuffing purposes, and besides that, she has even a way better base speed than Hasumi, so having her as the faster shield breaker is even better for making even more damage with Hasumi, because she's acting after Adelle. 2B from the near collab is also worth mentioning here, because she also evades and can break 3 shields regardless of the weak points once in battle, what Tressa lacks. But without further ado, let's head into the battle and finish off that level 100 NPC. So we cast masterful moves on Varkin, use the Holy Remand on Tressa, decreasing light resistance with Odette and increasing the elemental damage with Soleil on Odette, so that we build up the most important persons right at the start of this fight, and the masterful cheer comes at the 3rd turn, so that we can extend and even improve the existing buffs we already have. Okay, now we're going for the sidestep on Tressa, and as soon as Hasumi is in the front, she's only in the front. But because I have less turns than expected, I could even equip better stuff on her damage wise. Okay, Raging Luminescence on Varkin too, so that we cap the light resistance here, so a swift staff or another toxic stuff at turn 4 is about to come. But Tressa is already in the front, so I don't need her prio attack to get her in the front, but I still have to use her prio attack in turn 4, because she needs to be at lower SP, because otherwise she she would regenerate too much SP in between the turns when she's in the back. Because Hasumi was regenerating some BP on her own because of her passive, I can use a few more BP right now on her, but I only use one so that I have max BP when we're in the break turn. Now we're coming for 4 times Tome attack from Eunice and triple Illuminate from Soleil so that we can build up the ultimates and to have the shields reduced a bit more here. Because I used Soleil at the beginning, I don't have to use her anymore, but Eunice I have to use once more with the blinding light to do the last 2 shields here on her, and as promised here comes the Swift Trifold Thrust to have Tressa's SP a bit lower here, and we have to heal the group because now a Swift staff can come, but a Toxic staff it was only, but still it was high damage and even those could crit, and the Toxic is very strong, so even that can take out someone. Okay, now we're going for the first break in turn 5, and therefore we need the Bemusing Strat because the Elemental Collapse was only the first step in decreasing the elemental defense here, and now Odette comes to the front and does only a 2 BP version of her Luminescence 4, and because Varkin doesn't have so much BP, he only uses his attack as 0 BP. I've calculated it like that when Varkin attacks the first time in break, he gets into his skill chain the first time so that he doesn't run out of SP in the fight, and to minimize the chance of the skill chain in the beginning because I need lots of those attacks at the beginning and it would interfere with that. Okay, now we're going for max BP on every attack, and we're going for the Donate with only 2 BP on Odette because she only needs to have max BP at the beginning of the second break. So as you can see, almost 20,000 damage even with Hasumi, so the damage output is very high, but it is still not enough, so I need the ultimates to do even more damage here, but these will come in the next 2 turns. And the poison is on Tressa right now, so she's going for the Volatile Toxic staff in the next rounds, so I don't have to be afraid of something. I will use another Donate BP, and because I don't know if a skill chain is coming, I have to use another ally which hits 3 times on a weakness of her. So I use everyone's 3-hit light attacks and hope that there's a skill chain coming, because with that I can spare on allies, but it didn't. But that's fine, the second donate got onto Hasumi here. It would be preferred to do this on Varkin, and I will tell you later why. Okay, this will be the ultimate round. Lynette goes for the Child of the Dance, and we're going for the Refulgent Flash of Eunice, which is hitting 3 times and is decreasing the light resistance on an ultimate base, but only for 2 turns, so I can only use it for the break turn itself. This is not much, but at least I have so much, and I use the Scholar of Harmony, which is doing a 3-hit light attack because I don't have the Master of Tomes. Here comes the last Volatile Toxic staff for this battle, and we're increasing now the elemental attack of everyone in the front. Soleil is hitting 4 times and increasing the light damage up, but only for Hasumi and for Odette, and then the Refulgent Flash comes with 3 hits, and the ally is taking the last 3 shields here. Okay, so Hasumi is going for the break now with 3 BP because this is the only turn which she has more attack because of the ultimate light resistance down, and I will use that to the full potential. But as I said before, it would be preferred to have a Varkin with 3 BP now, because then he could use his Lux skill to hit 3 times, and this would make more damage than using his ultimate now. After the break turn would be a better idea to have enough damage. It worked in this case, but just for you to know, that's why I just struggled here, because I just realized that. We're also taking Lynette to the front to Masterful Cheer on anyone, because everyone's elemental attack is down in the next round. So I have to restock that. The elemental defense on BC is also very low, so I have to restock that in the turn afterwards. Okay, we're going for the break here, and as you can see, 22,000 damage here. This is amazing, and the Light Shatter form does the damage cap here, so as I said, it would be preferred to have him looks here. Okay, the luminescence on 2 BP is doing a very great damage, so that she can go for the 3 BP version. I didn't want her to use the max BP version on the first strike because it would hit the damage cap otherwise. And this is not preferred because these are numbers which could be missing in the next turn. Okay, now I go for a sleep proc because the prepare for execution could annihilate my whole plan. Okay, and as you can see here, we're in the red zone with the first Celestial songs. So compressing the plan and using the ultimates did increase the damage output, and the repeated area comes, so I had lots of more damage, and I was hoping for a second one, but it wasn't coming, and the sleep proc doesn't work. There's only a 20% chance here that it will work, so I preferred the toxic version of this fight, but after turn 11 it wouldn't help me here anyway. Okay, so the elemental defense down should be kept here. I'm going for the bemusing strat, and because Hasumi won't survive the next turn, I go for a triple valiant charge here on max BP, and I go for a donate BP on Adelle here because she's doing the most damage right now with her luminescence 4, and this is the preferred attack right now because when she's going into the Gertrude's passive, I don't have any chance of reducing her shield so much anyway, so only damage counts right now. And because I didn't know if Varkin is surviving this hit, I just got to the front with Soleil, so that even if he does survive, he will survive the turn afterwards and can come to the front in the next turn and have at least 1 BP here to use a stronger attack. And here comes another sleep proc, and it hits, so I was very lucky here, and as you can see, the HP is very low, so this will be the last turn here at turn 12 that I can finally beat her. But I think even without the sleep it could have worked that way, so I just say thanks sleep proc, even if I didn't want to use you. But I really liked the idea of having some other ally to help you here with this battle, and I even got her down on the 12th turn. So still, this fight was very interesting, and I like that fight so much, and I will return to that fight as soon as my units get stronger or I get other units to help me here. Put it to good use, do so for the world. That was the last sentence of this NPC, and I was so proud to finally get these proof of power. So you get 200 rubies and the influence all 100. And because there was a lots of back and forth this episode, now I will come to the final team composition. So Hasumi was left with 124 SP. So not having the SP saver on her is also a possibility now. And I also could equip a hollow health fan with her rainbow soul, and I had 11% on her celestial song, so this was a plus. And together with the Kitty Cape and the King Chomper Vest, I got to the speed of 462, which was necessary together with Cardona to get to a speed of around 550. Cardona is also having her Rainbow Soul here with a triple Valiant charge and physical attack plus 23. Because I could not have an Eliza behind Odette, she had to have the Champion's Mark so that I could reach the elemental attack passive of 28 at the end. Varkin was at 30% all by himself with his passive and with Lynette together, and I also used the Tactician's Clock here, which really helped me out at the end because I got the chained skill at a very important time at the second break. So if you have even more luck than me, you can maybe strike her down before using any sleep allies at all. The Atlas Axe on Soleil is doing more damage if we're talking about elemental attack here, and she's not attacking as often here anyway, so maybe it's not worth the effort. Apart from the Toxin Alley in Hell, I needed the Master of Books, and if that is not enough, I have decided for that one here in Berecain just before the inn, who gives also a 3-hit light attack. And that's about it. If you have any questions about this NPC, please write them in the comments or write in my Discord group. And if you'd like this channel to class up, I really appreciate a subscription and thumbs up. See you next time. You're free to play on.